What would you do if you lived in a haunted house? YouTuber Charles Larita and the Mischief decided to film it. He posted this video in June of 2011, writing, "My house is seriously haunted, and I'm still freaked out about this." In the video, he claims he always hears noises coming from his room, even when there's no one there, and while he's in his room, he feels a strange presence. After setting up a camera at night with the lights on, he discovered something strange around 2 hours into the footage. Here's what he found. The video shows a shot of the room, somewhat unfocused, with a chest of drawers, a black guitar case leaning up against it, and a door. After a moment, the light on the chest of the drawers starts to shake back and forth slightly. Something falls off the top of the chest, and then the door to the left swings close with exactly no one in sight. Many in the comments are freaked out by this bizarre clip, with BTS Nelly Thickums writing, "Move out of that house." Others agree they would have hightailed it out of that place. What would you do if this was your home? This man is panicking, and he has reason to. Published by Hayalette Videolari in November of 2013. The creepy footage he captured will have you on edge. Though there is no context to this clip, the man is in a room alone, and he's very much afraid.
Guys, this is the area where I've seen a spirit roaming freely.
What of? We're not sure yet, until...
Hey, are you there? Are you there inside? Oh my god! Oh my god!
After freaking out some more, the man wheels around the frosted window panel, and there's no one behind it. To whom does this hand belong? I'd wager the invisible man. Don't believe in unknown beings? What if one strolled right up to tap on your window? This unknown being footage, posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by 77Kuren, will inspire you to take a trip over to Area 51. The footage shows an unknown being approach the window of a home. Its features are quite clear, with black gashes for eyes and an elongated cranium. You know, the kind of features you might expect from an unknown being. The unknown being stands there, peering into the home, observing. It even looks as though it's trying to find a way to open the window. If that is indeed what it's doing, it doesn't succeed, instead slinking off, perhaps to find the homeowner to take him. What do you think of this unknown being footage, real or fake? Either way, I'll be locking my windows tonight. When things go haywire in your own home, it's easy to jump to a paranormal conclusion, especially when there appears to be poltergeist activity. Posted to YouTube in January of 2012, the uploader explains, "This is real footage taken at my house. As you can see the way the bottle moves, this is inhuman and impossible for a human to make a bottle move and gesture in these motions. This is totally real and scary. So if you are faint of heart, do not watch this, please. This is video of real paranormal activity." In the video, the men enter the kitchen, where a bottle on the floor appears to be rolling around of its own accord. After they enter the room, it stops for a moment before spinning around again. It twirls on its side and then stands straight up on its base. One brave man picks it up and puts it on the kitchen counter, which is where the clip ends. YouTuber MRLWAP2 in the comments suggests there's helium in the plastic bottle, but most people are more alarmed by the zebra pattern cupboards than the so-called ghost. Jenny Chanel writes that zebra print would make even a plastic bottle want to escape a room. So is this a supernatural case, or simply a case of terrible interior design? Only that soda bottle knows. When police officers stopped to assist a car that had broken down on the side of Southeast Loop 820 in Forest Hill, Texas, they probably weren't thinking this was a super risky call, but they'd be wrong, as the 3 police officers and 2 motorists awaited a tow truck, lights flashing. A vehicle sped at top speed towards them, completely out of control, and they nearly didn't notice until it was too late. You can see in the video that the group is oblivious to what is about to happen until one officer spots the vehicle flying in their direction, just in time to throw the group out of harm's way. The car sideswiped one police car, slammed head-on into another, and barely avoided the broken down vehicle and all the people milling around on the shoulder. After plowing through, the rogue vehicle ricocheted back into traffic, but then returned to the roadside, where it screeched to a halt. When the car stopped, police hurried to remove the driver. Unsurprisingly, 26-year-old motorist Cedric Keith Henson Jr. had been drinking and was detained at the scene. Although no one was hurt, they very well could have been. A YouTuber in Central Texas named Dylan Dickerson stopped feeling safe from home years ago when he first heard these strange sounds in the sky in December of 2018.
I hope you can hear that.
What's especially scary about this video is that at times, it sounds like a scary voice.
Now we're hearing them again.
At other times, it sounds like something else completely.
It just seems like they're always barking.
Almost like a battle of some sort just beyond our galaxy.
I still don't know what that is.
As this video taken 2.5 years later shows, the unexplained sounds in the sky have not gone away. If anything, they've become louder and more persistent, like it's evolving. I think these are real sky sounds caught on tape because the bird sounds up close and the sky noises are far away. Plus, 2 years is a long time to keep faking the same kind of video without much notice. So I believe in these scary sounds over Dylan's house. Do you? Police arrive to find a mother of 2 is seeing things on the roof while holding her 2 children. She doesn't believe a word anyone has to say and thinks everyone is out to get her. Now it's up to them to bring everybody down safely. They climb onto the narrow ledge and there's barely enough room for a grown man to stand. She is in such an anxious, delusional state that not even a legitimate badge and uniform are enough to convince her. My analysis of this part is that she thinks that he is putting away his badge too quickly, which in her mind means it must be fake.
Where's your badge?
There you go.
Okay, really?
Yeah, real.
No, really, let me see.
Yeah, right here. See? It says police.
Sergeant?
Yeah.
Eventually, she thinks he is real, but then she thinks his partner is an imposter. She reads his name tag out loud and freaks out.
No, who are you? Point blank? Point blank? Body adventure? No, point blank!
I think his name is Blaine Points or something like that, but I can't figure out what the significance is to her. Also, it sounds like she calls him a body avenger, whatever that means. At this point, she is so frantic that she might lose her balance. So the cops have to grab the kids by the arm and get into a terrifying tug of war. The poor kid has an adult pulling on each arm. The situation is probably horrifying for them. Eventually, the police win and round the children up, who sadly probably won't be seeing their mother again until well into their teenage years, if ever. You're a thrill seeker visiting Zambia, and you aren't too afraid of death-defying heights and rushing water, then visit the Devil's Pool at Victoria Falls. The Devil's Pool is situated on the edge of the 354-foot waterfall on the border of Zimbabwe and Zambia. The width of the 5,604 feet and height combined make Victoria the world's largest sheet of falling water, and at the top of this sheet is something known as the armchair, a natural pool of water along the edge of the Zambian side. This rock barrier forms the Devil's Pool, creating an eddy whose gentle current makes the water safe enough to swim in, but still risky enough where you might tumble over the edge and 354 feet below to your death. Granted, most people stay a safe distance from the cascading falls, but there have been fatalities in the past, which begs the question, why would you want to swim in this pool? This clip shows just how close visitors get to sliding right over Victoria Falls. The uploader, John Watson, lays on his chest peering over the edge with his arms out like he's flying, while the water in the armchair appears to be just trickling over. The water about 6 feet to his right is rushing. John notes that this is one of the scariest but most amazing things he's ever done. What's even scarier is the man standing on the edge of Victoria to take the swimmer's photos. It's only a matter of inches between the adventurer being alive and safe in the water and plummeting to the bottom of Victoria Falls. While the pics and video look incredible and brag-worthy, I'm not sure it's worth the risk. Wanda Chance is riding down the road when she sees a stranger who looks out of place. He is wearing a floor-length black cloak and holds his hands in front of him, possibly making a symbol. Wanda is suspicious of him and they drive by again. I think he looks like he might just be a regular teenager, sporting a gothic clothing style and look, but Wanda notices a long and pointy ear at 1 minute and 14 seconds and questions if he is really a person at all. What do you think about this sighting? Sure, it's strange, but is this just a person with an uncommon fashion style for the area, or a visitor from somewhere far off trying their best to fit in? A paranormal investigator who goes by Bakersfield Paranormal Services sadly lost his mother and is filled with grief. Even though he is very distraught, he wants to communicate with her. He goes to the cemetery with his equipment and approaches his mother's marker. At first he asks some basic questions and has her respond by playing with the lights.
Are you always around me and my wife and my kids? Thank you. Emotions there, Mom. Do you love my wife? Okay, I got it. I got it.
After a while, he pulls out what he calls a ghost box, which supposedly allows his mother to communicate using various radio frequencies. He believes other spirits are crowding around the box and keeping his mom from communicating.
Mom, can you please speak to me? You're trying to?
He thinks she says, "I'm trying to," but I think it kind of sounds like she might be saying, "I love you." Listen to it again and let me know what you hear during this part. You are probably asking yourself what could possibly be scary about ice. Well, it's not so much about ice itself, but rather what's growing around the area that forms the cubes and pushes them out. A thick layer of yellow filth has taken over this restaurant ice machine, which is somehow still in service and making ice for customers. I'm not even sure what this specific part of the machine is used for, but I know I regret watching it. The yellow substance has crusted into black mold along the corners. Again, I honestly can't believe this video was recorded in a restaurant that was still open. And that's just what this ice machine looks like on the outside. What's growing inside is even worse. Take a look at this and tell me if you would want this floating anywhere near your cold drink. You'd think the cubes would be absolutely disgusting and easy to spot, but look at this ice. You'd never realize there was much of a problem, or where it really came from. Bill and Lisa have a problem at home that's not the average couple's quarrel. Bill keeps seeing movement in the house, so he sets up an infrared camera system to catch it on tape. This narrow figure glides across their dark doorway at night. Here it is again from another angle, an imp-like figure roughly the size of a child moving towards the stairs. It enters their master bedroom next. It's not tall but looks powerful, and a short while later the shadow figure runs down the stairs and out the door. This is most likely special effects, but there is one reason it could be real. Infrared technology is designed to detect heat. So when something is purple like this shadow figure, it means it's detecting the absence of heat. In other words, the passing chill of something that is in the shape of a human. Bill also claims to have been followed by this shadow figure, despite moving to a new location. So tell me if this video is enough to make you believe him. A YouTube channel called Exploring with Angelina is with some friends, and they are exploring an abandoned house that was apparently the scene of some very horrible events. The house is certainly creepy, and as they explore, the video has a feeling of unease, almost like something could pop out at any second. But it's at the 9-minute and 32-second mark when Angelina's friend looks into a dark room that things get beyond strange. She sees something so creepy, it sends her leaving with a high-pitched scream.
Oh my god!
Inside the room is basically a spider fortress, with webs covering almost every inch of the room. I feel bad for any future urban explorer who accidentally walks into that room, especially if you have a fear of spiders. This would be enough to scare you for life.
Patrick Janssen goes into the basement to retrieve some belongings, among them a camera, when he sees something out of the corner of his eye. He decides to start recording all around him since he has his camera anyway, and he's surprised by what he finds. Here it is again in slow motion, a black shadow passing from left to right as he walks forward. A shadow that looks different than his own is shown here at 32 seconds, which looks normal and comes from the proper angle. So tell me if Patrick is just good at video editing, or if there's truly a shadow person in his home, because I think something could be living down there rent-free.
Baby monitors sometimes capture that which we don't even know is there. This creepy clip was posted to r/ghosts by Zealous Ideal Call 53. It shows a monitor placed in a child's bedroom. The baby is playing while her guardian appears to be on her phone. All is normal until you turn up the sound. A growl of a voice snarls "help me" 3 times in a row at the beginning of the video. Neither the baby nor the young woman in the video appears to hear the voice. Is it crossed wires with a nearby baby monitor? Did someone hack the monitor's sound? Or is it an EVP capturing someone beyond crying out for help? The Redditor explains in the comments that this isn't the only strange occurrence in their house, and that paranormal events have regularly been happening since she was pregnant. The Redditor writes, "We've had another incident with her nanny cam and seeing a black shadow near her, an orb, and her suddenly waking up screaming. I've had issues in my own room with the feeling of someone watching me, breathing on my neck, severe night terrors, and missing items that suddenly return. Does this give more credence to the presence of a paranormal entity? My answer is yes." Jeff Wesley is a paramedic whose YouTube channel gives us a glimpse into the frantic lives of emergency medical service technicians everywhere. Today, he must drive an ambulance full speed into the heavy rains, making his job more difficult than usual. The roads are slick and the driver visibility is very low. Every intersection is a serious gamble. Sometimes the roadways grow narrow and give cars a little difficulty pulling over. At one point, some local wildlife even veers into the ambulance's path at the last minute.
Oh, come on, Doc. Jesus. I missed it. I didn't hit it.
Despite all of this, Jeff Wesley gets to the scene quickly and is able to provide help. I just want to give a shout out to Jeff Wesley and all of the other EMS workers like him for their courage and service, as this video clearly demonstrates. Published to YouTube by Proving Demons in May of 2020, the channel writes, "We returned to the most haunted poltergeist school and captured insane paranormal activity on camera, from ghosts manifesting to things moving on their own. as well as a strange incident of a supernatural nature. This haunted school in the United Kingdom is apparently known for its poltergeist activity. As with most abandoned and reputably haunted places, the school is in shambles, wrecked and damaged by trespassers, age, and maybe even the spirits that haunt the place. Once inside the school, the group of investigators hears a humming that they say sounds like a generator, which is strange since the power is shut off in the school. Through the video, strange noises are heard. Knockings, a woman's wails, a sound like a shower is running. One of the spookiest sounds, though, which the crew seems to hear recurrently, is that of a young girl crying. At one point on the wall, they spot a message that reads, Dan PD. Could that message be directed at Dan from the Proving Demons crew? As they're examining the message, a noise is heard. Something from the ceiling fell out on its own, causing the lot of them to jump in fear.
Dude, where did that come from?
In the basement, they tune into the spirit box. When asking if anyone is here, the spirit box answers, I'm here, mate. When asking where the spirit is, a voice says, gymnasium. What happened in the gymnasium of this school? Whatever did, it's not leaving. Is this a witch mimicking a baby's cry? Shared by Instagram accounts Paranoid Normal and Unanswered Universe. Listen closely.
Ahí hay una cosa, miren allá.
Venga, venga, baja.
No, Diosito Padre Celestial, ¿lo que es eso?
Venga para acá.
No, esperen, que está allá.
¿Qué pasó?
Ey, no. Vamos a alumbrar qué es, no.
You can hear a baby wailing, and it seems to be coming from this nearby bush. The bush shakes as the group watches tentatively, and then this happens. What is that thing? It doesn't look like any animal I've ever seen. As the group flees the scene, you can hear another bush shaking, and you can hear the baby's wail again. Is this a witch or a shapeshifter, luring them in to take their souls? I do think it's some paranormal creature, mimicking a baby's cries, but for what purpose? I'm not so sure. A YouTuber named Chevalier Epstein has heard rumors of an old haunted campground that he wanted to explore at the end of a dusty, forgotten path. He finds some small buildings that are in relatively good shape for being abandoned. Still, the whole situation looks creepy even from the outside. On a bright and sunny day, when they go inside, they find it's been covered in graffiti and feels strangely unwelcoming, so they don't stay for long. Chevalier decides to turn around and take one last look at the campsite before leaving. Apparently, something was taking one last look at him as well.
What? That door just creaked open. Oh!
Their attention is still fixated on the open door when something much closer makes a noise nearby. I guess it could have been a mouse knocking something over or something like that, but the timing was a little too much of a coincidence for me not to include it on this list. Let me know if you think they really saw the door open by itself, or if this was all set up. A Redditor named SteezySteve7 posted this work camera video of the creepy basement at his coffee store job. It's 1:45 in the morning when his boss receives a phone notification of movement down there. This is what tripped the motion detection equipment. That looks like it could be a ghost to me, but maybe it's also a piece of a spider web? This basement looks like it has plenty of them. Can someone let me know if spider webs can set off motion detection equipment? I think they probably could, in which case mystery solved. We've all heard about miracles, but sometimes you just gotta see to believe. So let's see. A-Dimensional Paranormal published this video in August of 2016, writing in Spanish. recorded by a person in the chapel of the Saltillo Cathedral in Mexico. The clip opens on the inside of a dark chapel with only a few candles lit and some low lights surrounding the statue above an altar. Low church chanting can be heard in the background. At first glance, a close-up of the statue appears to reveal nothing out of the ordinary, but upon closer inspection, the closed eyes of a statue glare open eerily. Watch it again. Did it give you chills? Is this a miracle or something else? You decide. Personally, I think it'd be hard to fake with the camera moving so much, which makes me think it's real. YouTuber named Tracy is recording a video at the Hedingham Castle in England while on vacation with her husband. The voices and footsteps of other visitors easily carry throughout the castle, but it's just good acoustics, and they are not nearly as close as they sound. Anyway, look what happens while Tracy is standing motionless next to her husband in a large room all by themselves.
Not sure, but I think I just saw a shadow walk across the wall.
A shadow clearly passes across the wall in front of them, but as Tracy pans the room, you can see that no one else is present. None of the windows or entrances completely line up, yet the shadow looks very human in nature and appears to be coming from directly behind them. The Jinn is back. That's right, the shape-shifting creature of Arabic mythology that is said to have the capacity to possess humans is yet again making an appearance in this clip. Hassan Barbar believes he's caught one on camera. Posted in January of 2020 on YouTube, he writes in Arabic, "I've never seen a Jinn before." Outside of a stone building, the man captures something on film peering out at him from behind a palm tree. It pokes its head out briefly before drawing back into hiding. As he approaches the palm tree, you can hear movement coming from within it. He continues to wander around the premises until he starts to hear something swinging. Turning the camera towards the sound, he finds an old swing set. One swing flings back and forth, though no one is there to push it, nor does the night appear at all windy, as the trees remain unmoving. A short while later, when he is in front of the entryway to the building, a window pane slides closed. Again, it appears as though no one is there to close it. Do you believe in Jinn? This video has me creeped out to the max. Usually when you're in solitary confinement, you're, well, solitary. This TikTok video shows that's not always the case. In the video, an inmate stands behind bars. He's looking out through the bars and is supposed to be alone, but when he steps out of the way, a dark figure appears to be crawling on the floor behind him. It moves out of the way, blocking itself from view behind the inmate. The figure looks human-shaped, but not really human. Many in the comments believe it could be the inmate's demon that landed him in prison. Others think it's the negative energy attached to him. I guess the odds of an actual person sneaking into jail are unlikely. What do you think is going on here? Ring doorbells seem to capture more than you were bargaining for. Posted to the Ghosts subreddit by Yakuza Disco Man. This Redditor is wondering if what he's caught on his Ring doorbell is paranormal. The security camera shows a wide shot of a street outside his home with several parked cars along it. Nothing unusual, that is, until this ghostly figure streams past in the darkness. The semi-transparent phantom appears like he's trailing fog. Is this a spirit on a nighttime stroll? Redditor Noob Vin reigns on our ghost hunting parade, writing, "This is a camera glitch due to low lighting, and the way the Ring camera saves space with video and images, it's looking for pixel changes, and with low light, it is only detecting a fraction of the actual image, which makes the image appear transparent," noting that it's not really a glitch per se, but rather the design of the camera in order to reduce high bandwidth. Noob Vin is pretty sure it's not a ghost. Others suggested that the Redditor reenact the event under these same conditions to see if he can replicate this. Let's hope he does. Better safe than sorry. Nevertheless, I genuinely think this footage is creepy. According to YouTuber Extinct File, the locals in this community say that macabre events happen inside this cursed restaurant, and when the Extinct File team visited, they weren't disappointed. As they searched the place, a moan is heard. Then they happen upon this strange message.
Ven, es tu familia. No mames, güey. Ve eso. CJNG.
I'm not sure what that could mean. As the team descends the stairs, something nearby breaks.
¿Qué pedo? A la madre, güey. ¿Qué pedo?
Then they come across a mysterious object in a bucket. I really want to know what's so disturbing in that bucket that it must be censored. And as they're looking at it, they hear more noise.
Veo algo raro ahí, güey, ¿eh? No, no mames. No mames. Velo tú mismo, güey.
In yet another room, banging is heard.
La madre, güey. Algo nos aventaron, ¿eh?
And again.
Buenas noches.
La madre, güey. No mames. Va a ser alguien, güey. Está afuera, ¿eh?
Is something after them?
La madre, güey. La madre. No, 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 no. Están por todos lados, güey. No nos quieren aquí, ¿eh?
I think it's pretty clear that ghost hunters aren't welcome here. This is the curses territory, and if you know anything about curses, you know not to mess with them. What lurks in your alley in the middle of the night? This video may surprise you. Published to YouTube by Tasklock in March of 2021, the security footage was recorded on the 30th of December 2020 at around 4 in the morning. An empty road with a few motorcycles and bicycles parked along each side, still in the darkness, at least for the moment. Suddenly, someone invisible decides to take this bike out for a spin. The motorcycle abruptly pulls out into the road, turning in place. At one point, it slows in its turning, then jerks forward and continues in its path before falling over on the side in the middle of the road. Could this just be something mechanical malfunctioning in the bike, or did a ghost realize he didn't have enough momentum mid-launch? What should have been a fun day at the zoo quickly becomes a nightmarish scenario when a child named Timmy finds himself wedged in the folds of an elephant statue by the leg.
Timmy's leg is stuck in the elephant.
First, the YouTubers try to handle this situation themselves without any help.
Move this leg.
It gets stuck even more.
There.
Soon, zoo officials notice the commotion and try their best to assist. When that fails, Timmy knows the situation is getting serious. A team of rescue workers arrive almost 20 minutes into the whole ordeal. By now, Timmy is distressed and I feel pretty bad for him. I also don't see any signs warning to stay off of this elephant statue. So if anything happens to him, the zoo could be in a lot of trouble. Eventually, they are able to pry the trunk up long enough to remove the scared child and spare the statue. Timmy now has to go to the hospital to get checked on, but as far as I know, everything is okay with his leg in the long run. I'm curious to find out if you think the zoo should be held responsible for the hospital bills based on what you've seen. Creepy creatures creeping in the night, not exactly something you'd want to watch in the dark, but this YouTuber published this footage in August of 2016. The footage shows what looks to be a picnic area late at night. Trees border the area, lights shine beyond, and shadows fall to give you an extreme sense of trepidation and fear. That's when the creepy thing starts to creep out from behind a tree trunk. The humanoid features bony shoulders, a round head, and elongated arms that touch the ground, as if it's walking on all fours. The body is hunched over, the knees bent, and its movements are slow at first and then sudden. It looks like a praying mantis if the insect were humanoid. One YouTuber suggests that it looks like an old crippled man with crutches, while another thinks it's the legendary rake. What do you think this creepy creature could be? While visiting a friend at a high school, these girls spotted strange flickering light inside, writing that it was flashing in a pattern. Posted by Babe It's Manda to the Ghosts subreddit. The Redditor notes that this is the boys and the girls' locker rooms. Only the boys was acting up earlier, and now they're both flickering. Some suggest it's a rave, others think it may just be faulty wiring, or the fire alarm being tested, but MTN Do 891 finds something else particularly unsettling. He writes, "Why do the locker rooms have windows so large and close to the ground? That's what I find creepy." That's a good point, so maybe their story is not what's actually going on here. Nevertheless, this either had to be a major electrical malfunction, or else the work of something paranormal. I just wish there was more video evidence so we could decide for sure. When YouTube personalities are filming, they often capture the unexpected in their footage, and sometimes they capture the paranormal. Marissa Rochelle published this video in August of 2016. Marissa explains that when she was filming a back-to-school video, when she left her camera rolling and left the room, she turned off some of the lights but left one light on, and was gone for around 2 to 3 minutes. When she returned, the only thing slightly out of the ordinary was that Marissa noticed her camera had tilted downward. Still, this wasn't that unusual, because the heavy camera often tilts on its tripod. She continued filming. It wasn't until Marissa watched back the footage that she saw this nightmarish hand. Her sister Shauna was editing the film when she called Marissa over to take a look at this creepiness she spotted on camera. When she gets up to go retrieve the prize, you can hear the door close as she leaves the room.
And I did keep one light on just so that I would be able to find my way back in the dark.
After 2 minutes of radio silence, you can see the camera slowly falling downward. As the shot falls below her bed, something to the left beneath her bed moves quickly out of the shot. Marissa says it looks like a child's hand. Shauna and Marissa searched beneath the bed to see if there was anything there that might move like this, but they came up short. A child ghost, a doll come to life. What's beneath Marissa's bed? Whatever it may be, my guess is that it's very nefarious. This convincingly real ghost sighting was caught on a Ring doorbell camera, tilted at an interesting perspective that shows us more than most other scary doorbell cam videos ever do. The mysterious figure appears from nothingness, which is scary enough, but what makes one of the creepiest things ever caught in the history of doorbell cameras is how the apparition continues to walk down the street for 37 seconds before disappearing again. Feel free to prove me wrong, but this could actually be a real ghost sighting caught on camera. Freaky, right? A picture is worth 1,000 words, but the only word to describe this one is fear, 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 fear. This photo, at first glance, appears to just be your average selfie, but zoom out and you'll see that the selfie girl isn't the only one in the picture. An apparition appears in the dark hallway behind her, looking very similar to the creepy girl from the Grudge. In a white shirt with long black hair dangling in front of her face, the figure is peering out in all her creepiness at the selfie in progress. Is she a predictor of misery to come? Or maybe creepy Grudge girl is just photobombing in the freakiest fashion ever. This footage is believed to have been shot somewhere in France. It starts out with a UFO sitting on the hillside that quickly flies away. The next shot shows it hovering in the air, and then we are shown this footage of what appears to be a group of aliens conversing on the ground. It looks like they are talking about whatever it is aliens talk about as they casually observe their surroundings. Maybe they were talking about technical difficulties with their ship, or else they were simply stretching their legs between planets. It doesn't look like they are aware that they are being recorded. The UFO again takes off and disappears in a beam of light. You know when you're nonchalantly taking video, panning across the room, and this happens? This short clip posted to YouTube by Baku DD is not meant to be a jump scare, but it'll have you jumping scared anyway. As the woman films her apartment with a blurry camera, she pans around to a hallway that appears to be filled with sunlight, perhaps by a window backlighting the area, and there stands a tall, looming figure that apparently shouldn't be there at all, judging by the woman's frightened reaction. The woman shrieks, and the shot moves sideways as she jumps in fright. When she pans back to the hallway, the figure is gone. This is either a fantastic fake or the real deal. Whether you think it's legit or not, it's probably something you wouldn't want to witness in the flesh. Some super creepy moments caught on home security video have left a man in India wondering if there is something wrong with his camera or the neighborhood at large. Let's help him decide if this strange activity is paranormal. A loud motorcycle goes by his house twice, so he looks at the security video, which looks fairly normal at first until you notice there's actually no motorcycle and barely the phantom image of a rider. The second time it goes by is extra creepy because it seems to dissolve away even more, and yet the headlights are on the entire time, which could be proof that this paranormal activity is more than just a glitch. 5. The territories in Germany were divided into 4 Allied occupation zones. As decided by the leaders of the Allied powers, the Soviet Union took the eastern half of Germany, while Great Britain, the US, and France took the western half. Berlin was about 100 miles from the western border, smack dab in the eastern or Soviet side of the country. Despite this, the city was also divided into sectors in June 1945, with the Allies again taking the western half of the city itself and the Soviets taking the eastern half. The Soviets did not like the capitalist city of West Berlin, located in eastern Germany, so they started taking steps to drive out West Berlin and its capitalist agenda from the region. First, they tried to starve them out of the city by setting up a blockade of West Berlin. However, the Allies airdropped in supplies to the residents, over 2.3 million tons of food and other supplies to be exact, delivered for over a year during Operation Berlin Airlift. In 1949, the Soviet blockade was finally stopped. The waters were calm again until 1958. Over the previous decade, around 3 million refugees and defectors, including skilled workers such as engineers, teachers, and doctors, crossed over to West Berlin from the east. This humiliated the Soviets. On August 13, 1961, the Soviet premier decided it was best to close the border by constructing a concrete block wall with barbed wire, officially dividing East and West. In this way, East Germany could keep out the fascists from the West and maintain their socialist state. In order to get around the wall, you had to go through one of the 3 checkpoints, at which East German soldiers screened travelers, diplomats, and other officials. The wall was later fortified, made much higher and sturdier, and on the East German side, a gauntlet-type area served to prevent any more defectors from crossing via floodlights, tripwire traps, and dogs. This wall stood from 1961 to 1989, 28 years. On November 9th of 1989, the border was opened. People were now free to cross again from east to west and vice versa. The live coverage of those crowds that swarmed the wall with hammers and picks to tear down this wall, as President Ronald Reagan so famously put it, was scary and exhilarating at once. Cranes and bulldozers did the rest. All of this fascinating footage was caught on live TV. The ensuing celebration that occurred as the floodgates were opened was called the greatest street party in the history of the world by one journalist. Though the event was celebratory, it was also scary, as no one knew what the future held in Germany. As it turns out, a united Germany would be a leader in the 21st century and one of the strongest economies in Europe. Stephanie Jenkins is filming her child at the bottom of some steps when suddenly she goes from smiling to startled.
Whoa.
The child definitely looks like she saw something. but she takes a few steps into the next room and then quickly forgets about it. Some people have noticed what appears to be an orb float overhead, while some people think that this is a speck of dust or something similar. Others think it could be a long-lost relative paying their respects to the next generation of kin. These videos were taken at the annual Global Citizen Music Festival of 2018 in New York City. Everyone is enjoying the late-night concert until a crowd of people suddenly start trying to escape and basically cause a stampede. Nobody knows what they are running from, and they won't find out until much later, but everybody is moving fast and afraid for their lives. Their voices are filled with panic, and raw fear fuels their every step as they grab their friends and try to get out as fast they can.
What the just happened?
What's going on? Do you know what's
I have no idea what's happening.
The situation becomes all too real when a head officer of the NYPD comes on stage and makes a brief and serious sounding announcement.
Everybody stop! Remain calm! Remain calm! Try and open up the fence in the back! We're trying to get everybody to remain calm! Try to move backwards!
Try to move backwards is all the police will say without any further explanation, which sends everyone into even more of an uproar. Those who make it out find the entrance is swarming with emergency vehicles, but still nobody knows why. As it turns out, the source of the commotion was a large steel barricade that fell over and made a loud banging noise. The bang carried throughout the venue and sounded like someone discharging a firearm, which caused a panic. I can only imagine how stressful this must have been for everybody, especially when none of them know what is wrong at the time. Fortunately, a strong police presence was able to keep the evacuation orderly and help stop people from trampling over each other. For most ghost investigators, their only tool is their camera. These men, however, had other plans. Published to YouTube by Luan Mendez in December of 2019, this footage claims to capture the ghost of the girl in white. In the video, two men enter an abandoned house at night, calling out for the girl in white to reveal herself. The home and its surroundings seem empty at first, but as they wander around the house in search of the phantom, of course they find exactly what they were looking for. The first sighting of the girl in white is caught outside the home. They turn towards the doorway and, out in the field, the dark-haired figure dressed in a white t-shirt is standing at a distance. They scream in fear and rush towards the other side of the house. Lon manages to scrape his leg in the process. They return to the doorway where they saw the girl in white, but she's disappeared. Exploring the space more, they decide to enter a space under the home, where the floorboards are missing. When one of the crew is down there, he captures the girl in white yet again, standing in the corner of the room above. The other guy, who's on the top floor, hears his friend's cries and captures the door to the room closing at the same time. They both race outside to see if the girl in white exits the building, but she is nowhere to be found. However, when they return to investigate the room, the door starts to slam repeatedly. This is the last straw for the investigators as they race outside and across the field, far away from the haunted place. Who can blame them? A Nepali YouTube channel named Anish Gurung TV are not full-time ghost investigators, but they do have some paranormal investigation videos in abandoned places that get pretty creepy. An apparition seems to follow them on one of their urban explorations. This is when they first hear it. I want to say that this is the wind, but it's a calm night and this sounds way too much like a haunting moan. They reach the top and look around, feeling the presence of a ghost near them at all times. There's nowhere else left to explore, so they go back to the bottom and are about to leave when they hear it again twice. But I've saved the best paranormal evidence for last. At 4 minutes and 20 seconds, they capture these eyes and a sigh from behind. They They didn't hear or see it at the time, but like I said in the beginning, they're not professional ghost investigators and missed some of the scariest things caught on camera. This YouTuber works in an office building with a reputation for being haunted, so he waits until nighttime to start recording a video for his channel. At 3 a.m. the lights go out at random. Look closely and you'll see a shadowy figure dart across the doorway moments prior. It's still... A short while later, the speakers one room over turn on by themselves and play a haunting melody. Watch his reaction and tell me if you think he's acting surprised or if this really happened by itself.
Oh, I think you can time it or something.
No, I can't freaking time it.
Just when things are getting back to normal, the lights cut out again, and this time if you look closely, you'll see a figure with long hair over its face standing in the doorway. What if you fell asleep only to awaken to find a venomous snake slithering in the sleeve cuff of your shirt? That's what happened to the relative of a patient in a government hospital in India. The man was napping on the floor when a green venomous snake slithered inside his shirt. When a member of the hospital staff noticed the movements in the man's shirt, they called a local wildlife rescue society for assistance. Personnel from the center arrived and managed to remove the snake from the man's kurta, which is a loose collarless shirt in India. Surprisingly, they did not awaken the snake during its removal, and undoubtedly, that man certainly thinks twice now before catching some Z's on the floor. This moment is now infamous in the streaming community and has been talked about years ago on Top 15s, but for those who weren't aware, Zillion OP, who streamed on Twitch, appeared to be paraplegic and enabled his viewers to donate money to him. But in April 2013, generous donors and viewers alike got the shock of their lives when this gamer stood from his wheelchair, likely forgetting that he was streaming. Most had believed the gamer to be completely immobile, according to what they'd seen on prior streams. Needless to say, viewers turned on him and were rightfully angry about being misled. Zillion's girlfriend can be heard in the video when she realizes and begins rambling with a random story about taking their dogs to the fish shop, whatever that is.
Our dog, oh my god, we took our dog, to the fish shop today.
She continues talking as somebody, likely Zillion, turns the camera downward. Both Zillion OP and his girlfriend had their accounts closed for violating Twitch's terms of service. When the website Kotaku requested a statement from Twitch, they went on to say that subscribers would be given refunds. A YouTuber named Cup Stewart lives on the cusp of the rainforest in Indonesia. Tonight, he is investigating rumors of a small creature haunting the woods to see if it's real. He goes exploring where the creature was last seen and lays a trap. After a while, something with a white face and long hair comes out of the forest and lowers into the cage.
Wait. Nice, mantap. Tuh, dia mau bawa kandang terbang tuh, cuman nggak bisa dia keberatan posisinya tuh, main. Bisa bawa terbang kandang itu nggak, soalnya dia kandang mau dibawa terbang nih, main.
From the woods approaches a tall figure, a man rumored to live isolated from the rest of the island. He subdues one of them, and while Cup Stewart is checking on the condition of his friend, the stranger lets his pet humanoid creature free from its cage and runs extremely fast out of sight. This video has over 8 million views and about half the people think it really happened. I honestly can't say I agree. For one, the creature pretty obviously looks like a puppet in my opinion. I think somebody wearing black is standing behind this cage and moving it around with their arms. They also put the camera really far away from the cage. Almost anyone would put the camera right up there. They keep it far away in my opinion because it probably looks too fake close up. The man running away looks kind of weird, but it could be sped up or special effects. Even though this video is fake in my opinion, I'm including this on the list because it's gone viral and deserves an honest analysis. Tell me if you think it has any possibility of being real. When somebody finds a spider in their home, Some people would swat it on the spot with the nearest object, while others would try to find some way to let it go outside. Then there are a small percentage who would grab a camera and let the spider crawl all over them, like Feo 3 here.
Oh yeah. I got a spider crawling on me.
He never intended for the arachnid to take a detour across his throat and then stamp its way across his face. He manages to stay calm and only has one thing to ask.
And it's crawling on my face, isn't it?
Why, yes it is. Right towards your ear hole, unfortunately. Thinking fast, he tries to divert the spider away from his ear, but ends up encouraging it to almost burrow straight inside. He is so lucky that the spider decides not to do that, because that would have been a horrible trip to the hospital for sure. Not that having a spider in your hair is any consolation prize, but you get what I mean. This TikToker has a haunted kitchen with 2 moving utensils. First, this spoon handle moves towards him, and there's no string visible against the dark wooden cabinets when it happens. All he can do is laugh in amazement as the spoon moves towards him. The handle even hovering in midair for a bit again with no strings attached.
Ghosts are funny until they start coming to your house. I'll show you guys that I have a freaking poltergeist.
I'm almost positive this video can't be real, but at the same time, I don't see how it's being faked. Give me your best guess as to how he made both of these utensils move without any string. A group of British friends are playing catch in a courtyard when one of them sees something strange and points it out to the others. The camera follows his gaze and stops on a pale face looking at them from high above. The sickly person looks at them for a second longer before silently slipping out of view. The group is now creeped out and wants to know who has been spying on them this whole time. They tell the property manager about the face they saw in the window, but she says that it's impossible. The room they are talking about has been locked and unoccupied for quite some time. The manager goes up with them to unlock the door and show them around. They try and find the person, but the place is completely empty. There's no way anyone could have been up there, yet the camera obviously says differently. The mysterious peeper has never been identified. Over a year ago, I briefly touched on the saga of Joseph Chan Sloan, a YouTuber who for years was haunted by a spirit from 2011 to 2014, but I didn't get to cover his whole story. 3 more videos in particular are worth getting into, but first I did some more research and discovered a blog with years worth of updates. Joseph first noticed an apparition within weeks of letting his girlfriend move into his apartment, so I suspect she may have brought something that had attached itself to her. Soon each of them felt constantly watched, especially in the shower of all places, and it got to the point where they both thought they were getting pranked by each other. But one day, as Joseph was taking a shower, he heard his girlfriend come into the bathroom. The topic was already on his mind, so he explained to her that he thought the apartment was haunted, but then the figure on the other side, the one who he thought was his girlfriend, disappeared mid-explanation. From that point on, Joseph began setting up his sole camera in different places to document the spirit, and that's when things ramped up to the next level. On April 16th, 2012, Joseph announces out loud to whatever's listening that he's turning in for the night.
So we're just going to film this area. I had, like I said, my lighting issues were horrible, so I'm leaving some lights on this time. So if there is anything, hopefully we'll catch it. Anyways, guys, have a good night. See you in the morning.
Orb activity begins at 2 minutes and 12 seconds, carries on for about 6 seconds, and then abruptly stops. The kitchen is eerily quiet for over 40 seconds, and then the stovetop burner turns on to its highest setting. This happens out of nowhere at the 3 minutes and 17 seconds mark, but at 3 minutes and 14 seconds, an orb shows up in front of the oven just 3 seconds before it turns on. Could this be the ghost in question caught on camera? Joseph was asleep, so this event could have burned the whole place down if anything was still on the burner, which is maybe what this ghost was trying to do all along. A full 7 months later, on November 28th of that same year, Joseph puts the camera up on a high ledge to show as much of his living room as possible, floor to ceiling. He again announces that he's going to bed and turns out the lights. It's 11:46 p.m.
Anyways, we'll see what we get and if we get anything. So I'll see y'all in the morning and
Everything looks normal for roughly 2 minutes until a shadowy movement materializes over by the entertainment center. It's hard to notice even when circled, but when you do see it, it looks way out of place. I don't think it's camera pixelation because none of the other darker areas of the room are moving like this. And at approximately 2 minutes, a large, lonesome orb floats upwards from that part of the room and disappears. Exactly 10 minutes later, at 2 minutes and 12 seconds, this speaker falls over and lands not too far from where the orb originated from. Obviously, no one is around to knock it over, so if this is fake, how was it done? On October 1st, 2013, Joseph made his final YouTube video, letting everyone know he has moved to a new apartment. He thinks that changing his location has stopped the spirit, but considering it may have attached itself to his girlfriend when she first moved in, I'm not so sure it worked. This part at 4 minutes and 30 seconds further proves my point. It could be his camera making a squeaking noise while being adjusted, but it sounds a lot like the laughter of a small child.
But anyways, let's see if we can do it like this. There we go.
And when you compare it to his normal laugh, it's definitely not the same voice. And that's pretty much the last anyone's ever heard from him. The last update comes from his blog on July 25th, 2014, promising more videos that sadly never came. I don't know what happened to him, no one does, but suddenly dropping off at the height of your fame is not reassuring to say the least, and makes me wonder if something terrible happened. A child is left alone for just a moment, but still long enough for her to have a possible conversation with a ghost. Look across from her at the wrapped silverware in front of the glass and watch what it does as she speaks.
Here's going dinner.
The silverware moves all by itself shortly after she reminds an invisible person that this is not their dinner. She could be talking to an imaginary friend, but that doesn't explain how the object moved without being touched. The ghost appears to leave her alone after this brief interaction, and she happily resumes eating as if nothing happened. Exactly what it was planning to do to their food could be anyone's guess. A YouTuber named Melmer4564 has a unique problem. With her apartment home, an unwanted visitor who simply won't go away. You might not see it now, but it sees you.
Holy sh!
This small crescent shape looks like a human face, no matter what angle you look at it from. Even when the camera is fully tilted, you can still tell that is the left side of someone's face. How did this get here? And more important than that, why is it not going away? This paranormal investigation takes place in an abandoned building in Indonesia. I can't tell what is being said, but you don't need words to tell this person is being relentlessly stalked by something not of this world. First they play some kind of song which I think is meant to summon spirits. A short while later, a shadow person peeks around the corner and appears where his thumb is. If somebody could please translate what is being said here, then maybe it could help us piece together what this video is all about. I don't think he noticed anything at first, but this is the exact moment he sees the spirit. Again, please translate if you can, and tell me if you think he sounds sincere or if he is acting.
Itu settingan bukannya? Gimana kalau coba?
The way he turns and bolts without saying a word is very realistic, so I'm inclined to believe this is not a joke. And when he looks again, the ghost is up way high in the left corner. I think he is losing his mind at this point and he squats in the corner to hide. He thinks he is safe, but the door opens and closes by itself, and a strange mist floats up towards the knob. He runs away and stops to look around, panting, completely out of breath and scared senseless. This faint moan before the video ends makes me think he did not make it out alive. Mother Nature sometimes digs up monsters. That was the case during the 2011 tsunami in Japan. This scary video is proof that there are plenty of species in our oceans that we haven't yet met. The clip shows floodwaters tearing through the Japanese coast. Well, this is disturbing enough. Don't be distracted by all the debris. Instead, look closely at this waterway. What looks to be either translucent vapor or a big spout of water shoots up in the air like a geyser before vanishing like a ghost. Some are saying it is a ghost, while others think it's a propane tank discharging when its regulator was torn off. A few people think it may be marine life with highly effective camouflage skills. Where do you land in this debate? My guess is something paranormal. A Canadian YouTube channel called The Soul Catcher suspects that this clown doll from Ontario feeds off the energy of the living. So they perform this experiment to see what paranormal activity they can catch on camera. Watch this and tell me if you think it's real or fake. The clown's arm moves by itself as soon as the clock strikes 3 a.m. I suppose it wouldn't be too hard to set a clock to 2:59. Wait a minute, and then move the clown's arm with some fishing wire. So while this doesn't completely prove the doll is possessed, it's definitely strange. In this second experiment, the YouTuber removes the haunted clown doll's hat and places it on his knee. After 20 minutes, this happens. It looks like the clown is reaching for his hat. However, his arms sound heavy enough that it could have been positioned in such a way to fall over time. The YouTuber wants to know why the other arm didn't fall, and to answer his question, I think it's been positioned so that the hand is more in the middle. So while these two experiments are not conclusive, that he may have had a haunted doll on his hands, and I encourage you to check out the rest of his experiments on his channel. This one took me a few tries before I could see what they were talking about. Watch the shoulder lane on the left, and soon you'll see the shadowy outline of a mysterious figure. I have little doubt that this video is real and not edited, so the question becomes whether or not this was an actual spirit. Notice how the figure is devoid of all features, a strong sign of the paranormal, and maybe it's just because they are passing by at a high rate of speed, but I can almost see right through them. The entire lower half of their body is practically invisible. Night Owl 2007 published this video of a creepy sewer creature in February of 2018. In the video, some guys are walking along the road at night when they stop at a big heavy manhole cover and proceed to enter into the sewer. They remember how scary the sewer is, long dark tunnels, loud echoes. In order to see how deep one of the tunnels goes, the crew cracks a neon stick light and, turning off all other light sources, throws it into the tunnel. The tunnel must be deep, but the depths do terminate, as you can still see a tiny pinprick of light in the distance. As they're playing around with the neon sticks, the camera catches a skull-like face peeking over one of the crew's shoulders.
I don't think you're throwing out enough light here.
Anything?
What the
It looks like a ghoulish mask leering behind him, but when the guy moves out of the way and the cameraman casts his camera beyond, there's nothing there. Needless to say, the entire crew springs into action, racing out of that sewer like no one's business. There is a roaring sound at the end, echoing as they jet out of the tunnel. We can assume they made it out alive, otherwise we wouldn't have this video to show for it. A diving instructor named McFear 1991 notices a giant underwater sea creature slither up to some students under his watch. Their backs are turned and there's no way to scream or otherwise let them know, so the brave diver does what he has to do. He grabs the snake to make it change course. It takes one look back and seeks shelter under a rock. What he calls an awesome sea snake encounter, to me, would be nothing short of downright terrifying. I'm especially interested to know if this is an olive sea snake like he says. If so, Google says they are known to approach divers with curiosity and that they rarely do anything to them, but when they do, it does not go well. Not what you'd want to surprise you from behind with no gloves. Oh yeah, and one more scary thing. He calls this thing a juvenile in the description. If that's not considered full grown, then I can't imagine how big these snakes must get. A paranormal investigation channel called Ghosts of Britain think they've met their match while exploring one of the scariest haunted places in their corner of the world. An abandoned house with an unsettling atmosphere and more creepy things in it than you can imagine. On the table, they find creepy pictures left behind by someone young. A family must have lived here. The drawing and the lone meat hook in the corner do not pair well. Somehow I doubt that it was used to hang plants. They lay down a motion detector next to a toy for whoever made the picture to play with.
We want to try and make sense out of this place. We want to know about its history.
It isn't long before someone takes them up on their creepy invitation, and that's when things get really scary even for a team of ghost hunters.
Brianna.
Did you see that? The bear was just pushed over. The bear was just pushed over.
Away, but I heard it.
Do you know what? People are going to scream fake at this, you know?
They think no one will believe this ghost video is real, but I think it's possible. Their equipment reads out the word Brianna, and then the toy falls over like a paranormal entity trying to pick it up. If it was on a string, then the object should have fallen towards them, but it doesn't. It falls the opposite way. Perhaps the ghost of someone small is still trapped in this abandoned house, or at least that's what the evidence would suggest. Thank you so much for getting me to 50,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 60,000 subscribers next. Thank you.